Hi everyone, welcome to Roadside Assistance for Life's Divine Travelers. My name is Lourdes Billingsley and I'm the founder of the Divine Study, and I support people in using their life as their teacher. So today's question is, how do I forgive? And this question came from a Facebook post that a dear friend of mine put up earlier this week, and it brought me deep into my heart in contemplation about forgiveness, and I thought it would be a good topic for today. And so here we go. How do I forgive? The first thing I want to say about forgiveness is that no one can tell you how to forgive. That's something that is answered between you and your Maker. And when you have a sincere heart and you want to forgive and you know that you're ready, and you put your attention and intention on that, you're shown and how to forgive someone. And I first learned about forgiveness from my mom. And my mom had a lot of things that she needed to forgive. She had some pretty deep betrayals with her father and with her family and with my father, and she incurred a big loss in never being able to go back to her homeland. She was from Cuba, and see her mother before she passed. So my mom had a lot of sorrow in her heart, and it was definitely something that I noticed growing up, and was pretty pervasive throughout our home, that she's carrying these burdens in her heart. And one day I was around 24 years old, and my mom looked different. She seemed different. She seemed happy, like something had changed. And I was like, Mom, what happened? What's going on? You seem so happy. And she told me her story. And she said, Lourdes, I forgave my father. I forgave your father. I forgave God, so to say, for taking my mother away before I could see her one more time. And she just forgave all these people and situations in her life that needed forgiveness. And I said, well, how did you do that? And she said, I did it in my chair at home. And I sat down and I prayed, and I asked for forgiveness for myself, and I forgave everyone in my life. And when she was talking about it, she was pointing to her heart, and she was so sincere in what she had done, and she felt so freed up and liberated. And that brought me into a very deep place of reverence for my mom, for having the courage to sit in her own living room in her chair and say, okay. She faced her Maker, and she said, okay, I can't keep holding all of these bad feelings in my heart. It's affecting my life. It's affecting my family. Show me how to find my way. Help me to forgive. And she just kept sitting with it. And for her method was prayer. My mom was a very prayerful person. She prayed every day. And that's how she found her way, was through prayer. And I learned a lot from my mom. I was like, wow, I have some things to forgive. Maybe I can do that at some point here. I was only 24, and I was 30 years ago. And I just really respected her for the courage, the patience, and the faith to sit by herself and do this process for her. And I saw the results. So what I've learned over the years that I've been focusing on forgiveness is that forgiveness is really something that comes from your heart. I know that's a no-brainer. We forgive in our hearts. We hear that. But we don't always do that. And I know I didn't always do it. I did a lot of forgiving from my mind. Okay, I forgive that person, whatever. I'm just going to put it behind me. I forgive them, But it doesn't work that way. That's not where our liberation comes. We're not liberated when we forgive from our minds. And this was really brought to my attention when I was in Brazil about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was in a forgiveness ritual. And it went on for like 8 hours. It was long because every person that wanted to could get up and say who they wanted to forgive. And I was just like in a ball inside, just like, oh, I had no clue how to forgive. And I didn't have the courage at that time in my life to not get up and say who I wanted to forgive, because I felt too ashamed to not get up and forgive. So I finally mustered up the courage, and I got up and did my piece, because it was completely optional. There were plenty of people that didn't get up. And I got up there and I started forgiving, and it was like it rang as hollow as a dead old tree. And I was just like, I have no clue how to forgive. And that's when I started my journey. It's like, okay, what does it really mean to forgive? And I just started asking and praying about it. Like, how do I truly forgive those that have hurt me? And it's taken some time. It's taken a good 4 years for me to really get there. And what I've learned is that some types of forgiveness, or I should say, some of the things that we need to forgive take a long time to really find our way through. Like there's some things that happen and I can honestly from my heart forgive someone. But then there are things that have happened to me in my life that forgiveness has been an ongoing theme with that particular incident, and particularly the pain I experienced in my relationship with my father, because he molested me when I was young. So that's a very deep and profound betrayal, and that took some real time to navigate and really get deep in my heart to forgive my father. So some things that we have to forgive take a little while longer, and so we can really leave what happened to us behind. But I will say that intention for forgiveness, for deep forgiveness, and the different levels of forgiveness I did over time, and really carried me to that ultimate place of forgiveness. And I think those of you that have to forgive a perpetrator, you really can understand what I'm talking about right now. And the difference between forgiving someone who has slighted you or wronged you versus someone who has perpetrated you, hurt you physically, done something really tragic. And those are the harder ones to forgive. And they take some time and some patience and some real deep healing on our part to forgive all the way down to the root of our pain and our suffering for what has happened to us. So another thing I want to share about forgiveness is that, our mind or our ego or the protector that lives inside of us doesn't really want to forgive. It's defensive. It has lots of reasons why we shouldn't, and keeps us from the promises of forgiveness. And unless we truly feel our sorrow and our hurt around what has happened to us that is needing to be forgiven, we really cannot reach a place of forgiveness. And this kind of ties back to what I was saying about those of us that have experienced being abused or perpetrated in some way that's in a deeper kind of way. that we have to do a lot of inner work around our feelings and around what's happened to us and around really facing it before we can truly forgive. Because you don't want to fall into the forgiveness trap, which is where you forgive too quickly, or you forgive so you can forget. You know, you forgive and you put it somewhere else, and you just like put it behind you, put it over there. Oh, I forgave that person, it's done. But all the while you have all this unresolved material in your emotions. So that's like a trick. That's an important trick about forgiveness. You don't want to forgive without really feeling what's happened to you. And the protector in us will keep us from those feelings because it thinks that if we feel the depth of what happened to us, something bad might happen. You know, we might lose ourselves, we might become extinct, or, you know, go crazy, or, you know, who knows what the story is deep down. But that really is the key to forgiveness, and in my experience, is really feeling the truth of what has happened to us and really facing it. Because another trap of forgiveness is that you can fall into the trap of feeling sorry for your perpetrator. And then you just kind of like gloss over everything and you forgive them, and then boom, you're back into this relational pattern with them. And it's really important for our well-being and for our development and for our healing to honestly face and feel what we experienced and how we're responding to it. And there are many deep layers to that. And so sometimes we have things that we have to forgive, that we need help from another, from a sister, from a brother, from a therapist, from a mentor, to just hold space for us to go into those deeper places that will help us to truly forgive. And, you know, I've done that. I've done that for others, and I think it's an important piece. So I want to say a little bit about why do I forgive? Like, I think it's a good question. You can ask that for yourself. You know, like, why would I forgive? And so I'm going to share with you why I have consciously chosen to forgive, because it is a conscious choice. It doesn't happen magically. So the reason why I forgive is because it's a gift. This is what I've come to see, is that forgiveness is a gift that I give myself. First and foremost, it's a gift I give myself, because forgiveness brings me into the present moment. Forgiveness allows me to leave the past behind me so I can move forward anew. I can move forward in my heart as who I am, not a person who is a conglomeration of the things that have happened to her. So it makes me fresh. It's like, oh, I am not carrying that weight anymore. My heart is open. I feel more grounded in my body. I feel liberated. I'm not thinking about that person anymore. It's not shaping how I see things. It's not that lack of forgiveness or that hurt is no longer being projected out into the world around me and coloring my ability to see and to love. So that's one reason why I forgive. Another reason why I forgive is because forgiveness brings me into my natural state. It took me a long time to know what my natural state was. Who am I? And forgiveness really has brought me to that natural state of who I am. And why hold on to that anger and resentment? Why feed myself with the toxic waste of the past and of the things that have been done to me? And why feed myself with anger? And I'm not saying that anger is bad. I think anger is like a really healthy emotion, because it helps us set boundaries. But the question is, how far are you going with it? And is the protecting part of yourself utilizing that anger and resentment to keep you from forgiving? So forgiveness also gives me the opportunity to discern what I want to do with the relationship with the person that I am in that I'm forgiving. Because I think a lot of times when we've been violated, and those of us that have a pattern of that, we're not able to discern what the right choice is for us in relationship to that other person. And forgiveness clears the ground for you to get in touch with yourself and become clear about, okay, I'm going to forgive this person. However, I'm clear in my heart that I don't want to relate to them anymore. And sometimes there's confusion there. Oh, if I forgive them, then I have to be their friend, or I have to go back into relationship. No, that's not the case at all. There are some people that we forgive and we re-engage with them, and there are some people that we just don't do that with. It's like real clear. I'm complete with this relationship. I forgive you and I'm moving on, So forgiveness helps us to make that proper discernment. So how does one begin? And when I share this part with you, I'm going back to who I learned forgiveness from, which is my mother. And I'm going to add some things into that for you if you are feeling called to forgive someone or many people. So only you know in your heart what needs to be forgiven. And you can start there. There's probably someone or something that has happened to you that is visiting you on a regular basis, maybe in your thoughts, maybe while you're driving it comes up, or maybe it's a dream that you're having about somebody. It's there, it's lurking. And so our soul shows us, our heart shows us just what it is that needs to be forgiven. So you can kind of just tune into yourself and see what that is. And some of you may have something really glaring, choose that. And what you can do is get clear on what it is you want to forgive. Seek a quiet, comforting place. Maybe it's in your garden. Maybe there's a spot in your home that you like to sit in. Maybe you have an altar. Maybe you have a spiritual practice. I don't know. And wherever you go to practice that, you can go there and take this issue, this person, or that you want to forgive with you intentionally into that place, into that space, and create an intention for yourself and create a prayer. And just say to your maker or to the universe or whoever you feel is your spiritual guide, help me with this. Help me to forgive this person. Show me the path that I need to take for that. It could happen right in that instant, or maybe for you, your path is going to require a little bit of reflection, a little bit of feeling that I was mentioning earlier in order to get to that place of forgiveness. And start being present to having this intention and prayer answered for yourself. And when I say that, I mean as you go through your daily life, things will come. Someone will say something, or you'll read something, or you'll have this thought, or you'll remember an aspect of what happened you hadn't thought about before. It'll come to you in the most beautiful and gentle ways. And then your job is to respond to that. Now, for some of us, we're a little bit calcified around what occurred, and we're not so good at listening. So you may need to go back to this place several times and say, okay, I'm not experiencing any movement on this. Help me, like help me to release and clear whatever it is that's keeping me from this forgiveness. Help me to listen to what you're showing me. Help me to see it. Help me to feel it. And you just keep working with it, you know, and just keep asking for it and intentionally working with it. And the more you hold this intention, the more you will make progress. And the more sincere you are, the more you will make progress. Like, our intentions and our prayers are always answered. And sometimes we feel like they're not being answered. And really, the only reason why we're not getting the message, it's because of us. It's because of how we're thinking about it, or we're not really paying attention, or we don't really like what we're being told. That happens to me a lot. I get shown what to do. I'm like, what? A little stubborn. So some of us have to pray a little bit more to receive the gift, or we have to intend a little bit more to receive the gift of guidance and the gift of being able to really listen to it, you know, so that can happen. And some of us need help to forgive. Like, my mom was really able to do it by herself. That's kind of like how she was as a person. But some of us need help. Like, I needed help with some things to really deeply forgive. I needed to have a space held for me in order to forgive certain things that happened to me in my life. And if that's the case, you know, find someone that you feel like you can really trust and can confide in, and someone that can help you, and someone that knows how to help you. That's like really important, because sometimes our friends are well-intentioned, but they don't know how because they haven't done the work themselves. But you want to work with someone who has practiced forgiving and knows how to do it and can help you. So I know for sure that if you intend in your heart to forgive, that you will have it come to you. That vibration of forgiveness will come. You'll be shown what to do, and your heart will receive it, and you can forgive who you need to forgive, and you'll be free of whatever is burdening you. So lots of love to you in this moment. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking the time for yourself, and thank you for giving yourself this gift. I have lots of gratitude for being able to share what I've learned with you, and I'll see you next week.